Hey everyone, Happy New Year, and it's Phil K from Our Films. Welcome, thanks for tuning in. Today I want to talk about the streaming services and the ongoing debate as to how cinemas are being axed off, so to speak. I've got a somewhat familiar and unique insight to this because when I first started working for Blockbuster, Netflix was not even heard of at the time, and I was only at Blockbuster for about 2 years. And I remember going in one day and Netflix's CEO had approached Blockbuster's CEO, and they basically sat down and Netflix said, "We think streaming is the way forward. Do you want to join us on this journey?" Blockbuster turned around and basically said, "You're delusional." They laughed about it. And when I went in and I was told what was happening, I thought, what if we're wrong about this? What if streaming is the way forward? And it was one of those situations where you were ganged up upon because you weren't agreeing with the company, and prices went up, and before you know it, we started losing business. And don't get me wrong, we weren't dramatically losing money, but it wasn't going the way they thought it would be. Netflix started taking off, became more popular. Now TV, BBC Catch Up On Demand, all those catch up players. And I remember going in once, the hours had been cut, slashed, prices were going through the roof, and it got me thinking, was the CEO wrong about this, and is it going to be a disaster for the company? And then as always, the management and the senior management, they blame staff not hitting targets and whatnot, tried to get as rid of many people as possible, blaming the staff for losing money. And then even the area manager once demanded every single customer that walked in the door spent some money on something. They didn't care what it was. And you could feel the toxic atmosphere and the bullying that was going on. And eventually I jumped ship and I went to work for Cineworld. At Cineworld it was a completely different story. They were always busy, there was always big films coming out. And I thought, Blockbuster really have dug their own grave here. And then I noticed with Cineworld, the unlimited card, it was at a reasonable-ish price when I started working there. It was just over a tenner. But then as the years went on, the prices were going up. Less and less films were coming out. And a lot of customers started coming up to me and saying, we've already watched every film. There's nothing left to watch anymore. There's no value to this unlimited card. More and more people were joining up, and then more and more people were cancelling. And obviously, even the 3D format, people were trying to jump on that. And as the years went on, more and more customers started coming up to me and saying, we're getting sick of kids being on the screen, sick of phones being on the brightness of the screen, and that's when I started to realise, what? Cinemas are slowly dying out here. And week after week, you get maybe one or two or three at the most big films, but it was nothing like it used to be years ago when there'd be like 5 brand new big Hollywood films coming out in 1 week. And customers got fed up. They got fed up of spending their hard-earned good money when there was no new films to come out, and then the man just tried to use incentives, discount to certain restaurants, or if you join Open Recommend a Friend, we'll give you 3 months free or something. And eventually you could see the crisis management was unfolding, panicking. And just before I left Cineworld, and this was way before the COVID was even brought to life the way it was, the cinema was really losing admissions. Hours were being cut, and it just felt like I was a Blockbuster again. Obviously I knew cinema at the time would never just die out, but the patterns that were too obvious, they were the same patterns as Blockbuster. So I jumped ship. Then after a good few months, it just seemed to, nothing seemed to change. And then COVID hit, and then cinemas had to shut and theatres had to shut, and you asking the question, well, how are films going to get made? How are they going to get seen? And then obviously the major studios brought out Disney Plus, Paramount Plus. Netflix has really just gone through the roof now, and now you can watch films on your iPad or your laptop or your phone. And there's still this argument people coming out with saying, cinemas aren't dying out. They are. Cinemas are still there. They are not as busy as they were 10 years ago, nowhere near as busy. The amount of people I hear, or the screen was half empty because people are watching it from home. Several years ago I came across an article where Steven Spielberg and George Lucas has been asked what were their thoughts on the notion of being able to access brand new films for the first time from a consumer's home, and they were for it. They actually turned around and said consumers want the option to watch it from the home, they want that flexibility. Yes, put a price on it, but don't eliminate it just because of obviously you want people to go to the cinema instead. And yeah, I get it. I used to go to the cinema a lot when I was young. Don't do it anymore. I now just watch films at home. Why? You don't have the annoying chatterbox behind you or 5 seats to your left. You don't have the teenagers in front of you messing around playing Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook. You don't have the mother reading through a Kindle book because she's bored of the film. You don't have the dad checking his emails in front of you because he's waiting for a work call. You can pause the film. You can run to the toilet. You can go and make a drink. Ultimately though, you pay a set price per month and you can watch as many films as you want. Netflix, you can't do that with a cinema ticket. And whenever people say to me cinemas aren't dying out, they're not as busy as they used to be. They're nowhere near as busy. Yeah, when there's a big film out, whether it be Avatar, James Bond, The Hunger Games, one of the big horror films, you're going to pick up a bit for that. That's obvious. People want to watch those films on the big screen. Star Wars, Harry Potter, people will go to the cinema to watch those. You'll still get the ones that watch them from home. However, with the less busy films, the less popular ones, that most likely people have never heard of, if they see it on the cinema and then they see it on Netflix, it's like, for me personally, I'd choose Netflix. Other people might choose the cinema. But ultimately, technology is advancing that much that whilst cinemas were the primary exhibition venue to go to watch a big Hollywood film, they're not anymore. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Seeing a film on the big screen in pitch black, you can't beat it. But when the experience is going to be ruined by a distraction, for me, I just prefer to watch it at home. And that's just my personal opinion. But what I'm saying to a lot of people out there is this: the studios are leaving options open for people, whether it be on your mobile, on your laptop, on your TV to stream it. You can't knock technology that makes more accessible to materials online just because the cinemas are there still. Cinema, I personally don't think it'll be here much longer. Streaming services, however, who knows what's going to happen with them. I could not believe Blockbuster did what they did. It would be a different world today if they said yes, but we'll never know now. What I'm saying to people is, don't criticise it if obviously the cinemas do get neglected to an extent. The studios merely lease the films to the cinemas. The cinemas don't own the films, and the amount of people that talk as if the cinemas are being shot in the back. The cinemas don't own the films. They're an exhibition venue, that is all. They're there to make the money. But if the studios can find other ways to make the money, or even make more money, well, they're going to do that, aren't they? And yeah, it is sometimes upsetting when you think that, cinemas have been around for decades, but you know what? All good things must come to an end. And on that note, Please do share your thoughts if you have any opinions or if you disagree with anything I've just said. Please do drop them in the comments box. Very briefly, I'm aware, I think this was years ago, this was mentioned to me, the studios are even trying to eliminate the digital hard drives being delivered to the cinema. They're going to try and do it directly from the studios with a special secure internet connection, trying to obviously remove the middleman. And again, people have kicked off that over jobs, but at the end of the day, it's the cinemas that obviously you either adapt to it or realise that, you know what, you don't own the films. The studios would need to make money, and they're going to find a way to do it. If that means removing, let's just say, the process in a way that it benefits the studios, they're going to do it. You have to accept it. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in.